Hello friends, glad to see you back. Today, let me tell you a story about the kind of HOA nonsense that makes you question reality. Specifically, the day I learned there's nothing scarier to some people than a slab of concrete poured outside their little circle of control. Picture this. It's early morning. I'm out at my new build, boots on fresh dust, tape measure in one hand, mug of coffee in the other, feeling good about the world. Then, out of nowhere, police lights start flickering down the street, blue and red bouncing off the framing like I'd just held up a bank instead of a 2x4. Two squad cars, doors swing open, and these officers step out calm but watchful, the way people do when they're not sure if you're about to go off. My project manager, Marlo, just grins and keeps chewing beef jerky like he's seen it all, because honestly, with me, he probably has. Here we go, he mumbles, nodding to the street. Are you the owner? One officer asks, polite, hands visible. I just point to my permit, bright yellow, laminated, stuck right there for the world to see. Permits are all in order. Is there a problem? Turns out, someone from the Fairview Estates HOA called 911, claiming I was violating their rules, building without architectural approval, and, my favorite part, endangering the neighborhood aesthetic. They wanted police. Not a gentle call, not even the non-emergency line, but the full red and blue parade. I look at Marlo, he just shakes his head. The officer checks my permit, says everything is fine, even confirms my next inspection. Then he asks, almost apologetically, you mind telling us who might have called? I almost laugh. I'll bet you it was Branson, the guy who thinks running an HOA is a military operation. Sure enough, the officer nods, says that's the name dispatch listed. He explains they have to document every call, but reminds me that 911 is for real emergencies, not neighbor drama. They take off, all business, and the world is peaceful again, at least for 30 seconds. Because the moment the last taillight rounds the corner, up rolls a silver crossover and out leans Branson, clipboard in hand, eyes narrowed like he's about to grade my work. He starts right in. Good morning. I didn't want to involve the police, but you left me no choice. The man's wearing a golf shirt in 50-degree weather and holding that clipboard like it's a badge. I try to keep it light. Morning's about the only true part of what you just said. He insists I'm part of his HOA, that his board minutes prove it. I tell him, as kindly as possible, minutes from your private meeting don't outrank my deed. He pushes a packet toward me. I let it drop to the sidewalk. Your permit means nothing without our sign-off, he says, puffed up like a cartoon villain. I point out that his authority ends where my lot begins, and if he wants a legal fight, I'm ready for one. He squeals off like he's starring in a commercial for bad decisions. Now, let me back up a sec. This all started because I bought a little lot nobody wanted, a place so quiet even the birds act like they own it. I'd grown up doing framing and concrete, so building was second nature. My main house sits at the end of a cul-de-sac across town. No HOA, no drama, just grass, a hill, and neighbors who wave but mind their own business. But up the hill from me, a handful of folks banded together, filed some paperwork, bought a sign, and decided they'd run things like a private kingdom. Branson, their self-appointed director, had tried and failed to get on every committee in town. This HOA was his big chance to finally feel important. They started small, notes about trash bins and grass height, warnings about fence color. Most people ignored them. But when I pulled my new permit on the other side of town, suddenly, I'm public enemy number one. First, a pink violation notice taped to my door, no teeth, just bluster. Then a city inspector stopped by, rolled his eyes and told me some guy keeps emailing, demanding the city deny my inspections. We don't enforce private HOA rules, the inspector says, and we told him as much. Still, I wasn't about to take chances. I checked the recorder's office, combed through every deed, every covenant, every page of legalese you could imagine. Nothing tied my properties, either one, to the HOA. No recorded restrictions, no attachments, nothing. So, I drafted a letter, attached a map and the relevant state statutes, and sent it off, certified, to their little mailbox at a strip mall. You'd think that would end it, but 2 days later, Branson called 911. That's when things started to feel personal, like my project had landed on the wrong person's vision board. I called Devlin, my attorney. Guy's so calm you'd think he runs a yoga retreat. He says, document everything, keep it polite, but don't back down. People who get creative with authority usually double down before they give up. He was right. The day ended with us working, not fighting. Marlo smoothing concrete, me posting the pink notice like a bad art exhibit near the permit, just for laughs. Then came Kendra, neighbor, friend, the anti-Branson. She brings a casserole and news. Branson is going door to door, collecting signatures, scaring neighbors with talk of extra houses, and putting the neighborhood at risk. Some signed just to get him off their porch, but most rolled their eyes. He also claimed I owed HOA dues, even though he admitted my property wasn't technically in the association, not yet, as he put it. That yet did a lot of work. I snapped a photo of his bogus petition, printed letterhead, made-up committee logo, request for city intervention. Address harvesting, intimidation in a business casual outfit. That night, Devlin laid out the options. Educate the neighbors, document every interaction, and put up literal and figurative boundaries. He also said, let's remind Branson that misuse of emergency services can land you a real fine. Next morning, I visited the county clerk. All Branson had filed was a fictitious business name, like opening a sandwich shop, not running a government. No incorporation, no covenants, not even the annual report. The association was a club in all but name. On the way home, I got a call from the county assessor. Someone filed an anonymous complaint about illegal rentals, and then my bank called, thanks to a mysterious email saying I was under investigation for violations. My banker flagged it, didn't buy the story, and called me instead. We put up a new sign, quoting the law about interfering with permitted construction, politely but firmly. Marlo made it tamper-proof, and we just kept working. Soon, a code compliance officer showed up, another complaint, this time about setbacks and easements. We measured together. Everything was up to code. The officer, tired of the circus, told me, we enforce city code, not neighborhood taste. As he left, Marlo found a blank architectural approval form tucked under my permit. Same silly logo, same threat of fines. I put it in the pink ink museum bag. That weekend, Kendra held a coffee meetup. I brought copies of the real laws, the county findings, the deed, laid it out like a substitute teacher. Explained the difference between a voluntary club and a legal covenant. One neighbor, Harlan, who'd signed the petition, admitted he thought it was about safety, not control. Others asked what to do if Branson kept knocking. I said, you can politely tell him to stop. And if he won't, you can escalate, legally. The next day, Branson himself called me. If you'll just come to our committee, we can retroactively approve your project and avoid trouble. I told him the only trouble was the one he was creating, and to please stop calling 911 for non-emergencies. He huffed about the cohesive aesthetic of the community. I reminded him that birds and builders across town don't care about his aesthetic. He threatened fines, liens, whatever. I told him filing fake paperwork was a crime. Don't become a case study, I said. The call ended. At this point, every document, every note, every complaint was in a binder. I even scanned everything, because people who play with power tend to get creative with the facts. And while my house took shape, Branson's story fell apart. A week later, the bank formally retracted the bogus claim. The police warned him again about abusing 911. The postal inspector got involved when we caught Branson on camera taking mail from my box. Yes, we ran a little envelope test, caught the silver crossover, clipboard and all, stealing a package. The feds sent him a warning. And then came the final act. Branson called a community safety meeting, flyers everywhere. I went. He stood there, papers stacked, talking about values and standards. I asked, loud enough for everyone, what recorded document gives your group authority? Murmurs everywhere. We have bylaws, he insisted. Bylaws aren't covenants, and I don't live in your plat, I replied. Even the city liaison stepped in. Private groups don't speak for the city. Check with an attorney before pretending you do. That was the end. Balloon popped. After that, the association quietly became a club, violations became suggestions, the mailbox closed. The last pink notice, the last bogus fine, into the binder. The Creek House finished, inspected, and certified. Branson, in a last-ditch move, mailed a handwritten apology. I went too far. I was trying to help. I'm done. I kept it as a reminder that even speed bumps think they're directing traffic. Punishment didn't look like a courtroom showdown. It looked like a string of warnings, 911 citations, a federal letter, a state compliance notice, and neighbors who finally relaxed. That's justice, if you ask me. Nobody's crowned but the one you earn by minding your own business. The last I heard, movie nights replaced meetings, muffins replaced memos, and the silver crossover drives by without stopping. You know what I mean? Sometimes the best revenge is just finishing the job, inviting everyone over, and letting the law do what it does while you watch the sunset from your new kitchen window. So tell me, was I right to push back? Or is there ever a time when a clipboard really does make someone the boss? Drop a comment. Let me know where you stand on neighbors, HOAs, and drawing the line between order and overreach. See you next time.